You are standing on the very edge. The wind is trying to blow you down, hitting you in the face, and down below there is a huge dark abyss. Have you ever thought that all this meaning you are so desperately searching for may not exist at all? That it is just a beautiful picture painted by your brain? Your loved ones, your self-confidence, all your experiences. What if it's all just a house of cards that you built yourself out of lies? Imagine waking up every day with this thought drilling into your brain like a drill. Why am I even here? What's the point? And then it hits you like a bolt of lightning. Everything you knew about how your mind works, your habits, everything goes out the window. Today, we're going to break down the cage you're locked in. Do you know why? Because searching for meaning is like hunting for ghosts, a waste of energy. Life begins when you dive headfirst into chaos. All your life, you try to find that very meaning. You try hard at work, look for clues in love, hang on to every word other people say. You need some kind of formula that will explain why you were born, what it all means, why you get out of bed every morning. But here's the truth, whether you want to hear it or not, there is no meaning until you look for it. It slips through your fingers like water. The more you try to grasp it, the more it splashes around. You hope that someday you'll understand everything, that life will fall into place, and all your doubts will vanish like smoke. But the brain doesn't work that way. Psychologists have proven it 100 times. The brain doesn't need truth, it needs stability. It needs at least some kind of explanation, even if it's a lie, just so it doesn't have to face confusion. It hates being in limbo. It makes up all kinds of stories to keep up the appearance that everything is under control. And so you flounder, not in real life, but in some retelling of it. You think you're so smart, but in reality, it's just fear. You're afraid of being left without an answer. You're afraid that if there is no meaning, then you yourself are meaningless. But try to look deeper. Maybe that's where the freedom you're looking for is hiding. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, if you know why you live, you can endure anyhow. But he also hinted that this why does not fall from the sky, but must be chosen. Meaning does not lie on the road, it must be created. And Viktor Frankl, who went through the hell of a concentration camp, said that even in the most terrible suffering, you can find meaning if you stop looking for salvation somewhere out there, outside yourself. And here's the thing, as soon as you stop chasing the idea of finding meaning, it finds you. You are used to thinking that meaning is like a prize, that you have to earn, build, and prove that you are worthy of it. But what if meaning is not the top of the mountain, but the climb itself? When you just look at the stars and don't try to count them. When you walk down the street and don't stare at your phone. When you give free rein to your feelings without digging into their causes. That's life. Simple, real, inexplicable. You think that living consciously means understanding everything. But in fact, consciousness is when you know how to live in misunderstanding and not be afraid of it. Is our brain simply incapable of just being? It constantly needs to search for something, a reason for being here, a direction to move in. Even when you're just relaxing in silence, lying on the couch, it doesn't shut up. It's as if it's whispering, "So, what's the point of all this?" And these are not just philosophical musings. This is in fact neurochemistry. Our brain is a kind of machine that constantly tries to predict something. It tries to survive by creating at least some kind of meaning where, it would seem, there is none. Every thought we have, every fleeting feeling, is an attempt to build a model of the world in our heads so that we can feel, at least somehow, that we are in control of the situation.
But everything comes at a price, and here the price is quite high. The more you try to explain everything, the less room there is for life itself. A simple example, when you make your happiness dependent on some goal, Dopamine, the hormone of anticipation, becomes your main master. It generously rewards you with a rush of pleasure when you get even a little closer to your goal, and then instantly takes it away as soon as you achieve what you want. That's why, often after a victory, after finding love, after a long-awaited confession, you feel a strange emptiness. It's just your brain looking for a new carrot to dangle in front of your nose. It turns out that you are not living, but constantly chasing some kind of chemical illusion. Meaning turns into a real drug, and the endless search for it turns into addiction. We call it development, career growth, or spiritual practices, but more often than not, it's just running in circles, from boredom to some goal, from goal to fatigue, from fatigue to a new idea that now I finally understand everything. Sounds familiar, right? Our mind is simply afraid of peace. It doesn't know what to do if there is no task, no meaning, no struggle. Therefore, it constantly invents some kind of drama, creates suffering in order to feel needed. It simply cannot stand silence, because in silence, it loses its power. It needs to constantly think about something in order to occupy its place. Meaning is, of course, good, but it is not a panacea. It is just a tool that our mind uses to keep us firmly under control. It seems to say, find the meaning of life, but in reality, it whispers, keep playing by my rules. We must understand when to stop this race. Strange as it may seem, the soul does not need meaning. It does not need explanations to simply feel. It does not think in terms of why, it just lives and enjoys life. It does not need to be right in an argument, but rather peace of mind. Not some abstruse formula for happiness, but simply being present in the moment. The mind wants to understand everything in order to calm down. The soul, on the contrary, simply wants to calm down in order to be. That's the whole difference. And as long as you serve your mind, you are a slave to meaning. You are constantly looking for answers, trying to analyze, to put everything in order. But as soon as you allow yourself for the first time to simply not know, not explain, not understand, a strange and deep silence suddenly arises within you. And this is the very beginning of a long-awaited freedom. Freedom from the eternal race for meaning. The brain always needs some kind of framework to put everything in order, but life does not fit into any framework. It is much bigger. It is dirty. It is beautiful. It is full of mistakes that make you who you are. While you are looking for meaning somewhere out there in the clouds, you lose touch with reality. You don't hear your heart beating. You don't see that someone close to you needs your support. You don't taste your food, smell the rain, or feel the warmth of the sun, because you are somewhere far away in your thoughts, doubts, and expectations. But at some point, it all breaks down. Your brain gets tired of coming up with explanations. It just gives up, and suddenly there is silence. Unfamiliar, frightening. And then, lightness. You suddenly realize that you don't have to know the answers to all the questions. You don't have to understand what's going on. It is enough just to be. The meaning is not somewhere in the future. It is right now in your breath, in your gaze, in your touch, in your silence. In the fact that you stop trying to control everything. In the fact that you allow events to simply happen. In the fact that you learn to love without any guarantees. This is not some clever philosophy. It is simply the biology of presence. When your body, mind, and attention finally merge into one point, in the here and now, and then you feel real confidence. Not the kind imposed by books, but the kind that is born within you. It is a silence in which nothing needs to be explained. You just live. Not for some purpose, not for meaning, just because you are alive. Maybe this is the very truth you have been searching for so long. Not to seek meaning, but to be it. Not to understand, but to live. If this resonates with you, write in the comments what it means to you to truly live. Maybe your words will help someone else stop searching and start being.